Now we are together with Wyatt Miller. That's the brand manager for Slingshot Windfoiling.
We're doing the windfoil thing for about 4 years now. I started on just a kite foil. Then I took a delaminated freestyle board, drilled holes all the way through and just bolted it in there. Figured I had to learn how to do it before the board completely filled with water. And it wasn't right, wasn't in the right place. And I was going out there and Tony Lagos would just be carving 360s around me. He's the head designer of Slingshot. And he really rescued me because he saw me just totally struggling out there. And he's foil jibing and duck jibing and double duck jibing. So he got me on the stuff and I started testing it with him. And you know, it's come so far since 4 years ago. The interesting thing is that it's really only this last summer in the United States that we really saw it start to catch on, and friends would get one, they'd teach a couple more friends. It's pretty addictive. I have a windsurfing center down in Baja, Mexico, and windsurfing is hard, learning jibing is hard, learning to loop or do any trick in windsurfing is hard. And this windfoil thing in windsurfing is easy. It's the easiest platform to learn the foil on because you have 3 points of contact. You have both feet and then you have the mast in front of you to add some more pressure and control to hold the nose down. So what I find is that any of my customers who come down who can jibe, it's totally crazy. Their first run out, they get in the straps, you kind of tell them what to do, 5-minute lesson, and their first run, they get the thing to lift up, they cruise for a bit, they touch down, sometimes they fall, sometimes they don't, but the falls are, you know, slower than we're used to. But the crazy thing is windsurfing is so difficult, but learning the windfoil, if you already know how to windsurf, it's literally your first run that you'll get your first flight. And then you turn around, you get another one on the other side. It's not that easy to master. It's not like you're just first day jibing, but to be able to hop on one that's nicely tuned, all set up perfectly. It's kind of the nice thing if you buy the board and the foil from the same brand, you know they work together, you know it's balanced, so you can just work on your own skill. You're not like, you know, oh, it's the board or the thing lifts too much in the front. You buy the same brand, board and foil, you know they fit together, you know they're balanced, front foot and back foot, which is probably the most important thing about the windfoil, just nice balance between your front foot and your back foot. But your first run out, you get this sensation and it's like everything goes quiet, you're floating. For the first time in your windsurfing career, you're trying to figure out how high off the water you are. And that's kind of the hard part in the beginning because we're not used to judging our distance off the water or even paying attention to that. And in the windfoil, that's your whole thing. I don't want to go too high, I don't want to go too low. But that first moment when it lifts up, everything goes quiet, there's hardly any power in the sail, and you're just like holding your breath, trying to figure out if you're going too high or too low. And then eventually you do go too high and you kind of, you know, either touch down and you kind of let go and go over the front. But it's just amazing that you can learn something in windsurfing your first run out. And it's, for so many people, I think, you know, you've been windsurfing for 20 years and maybe you've kind of stopped progressing. It's still fun, you still rip out there with your friends, you know, you can jump and, you know, do some jives, but to achieve the next level in windsurfing, like a forward loop or a back loop or a Spock 540, you know, it's hard. So for a lot of people, you know, it's just the first breath of new in windsurfing. And because it's so easy, it's so much fun. And once you get up and you're able to do it and you have good control, you can travel in windsurfing like you've never been able to travel before. You know, running 1,000 meters downwind to check out some little island or some little cove you've never been to isn't a problem because your upwind ability and your downwind ability is just astronomical. It's crazy. And also your ability to like catch up to a friend and hold a conversation. All of a sudden you're flying along and you used to like yell or whistle as your only form of communication because windsurfing's kind of loud with the chatter, but now you're on the foil, you're going alongside your buddy and you're just having a normal conversation, not screaming, not yelling. You can just talk and rip around together. So it's kind of increases the camaraderie and how much fun it is to go with a buddy. Like before, I don't know, almost as fun just to windsurf by myself, but when you're foiling, it's just a blast to chase your friend around because you can go straight upwind to them, way downwind and catch up with them, and once you're there, you can just fly across the water having a normal conversation. I think foiling you know, most of the windsurfers are kind of, you know, they're professionals, they're family people, you know, they got a limited amount of time. And when you're sitting there on the computer at work and you're like looking at the numbers and, oh, okay, it's blowing 15 knots, is it really worth, you know, telling my boss and leaving work? Because I may get down there and it stays at 15. There's no guarantee that it gets to 25. But with the foil, you know you're going to get a session, you know. You can leave work and it's blowing 15. You go to the beach, it's only blowing 15. You put on, you know, your 5.0, you grab your foil board, you're ripping around, you're having a blast. The other super cool part about it is, like, I only really need that one sail and I don't have to re-rig very much. I rig up my 5.0 every day at my windsurf center. Wind's a little light in the morning around 11 o'clock. I take out my foil board, ripping around, having a blast. The second I start to get overpowered, I just go into the beach, drop the foil board off, put on my freestyle 92 liter, take that same 5.0, and I'm having a blast for the rest of the afternoon while the wind is strong. You know, wind dies on me, just keep your same sail, throw on the foil board. You like waste no time. It guarantees you a session. And it's just, I don't know, it'll put a smile on your face. Just that sensation is wild.
Can you tell me, or to the customers, probably what is the best setup? Because the Hoover Glide system offers a huge range with different mast length and different foils. What is probably for a beginner the best setup? Which sail size? Maybe something special that you have a different trim for the sail or something like that?
Yeah.
Because you teach a lot of people
windfoiling. Yeah, I teach a lot of people. We have 10 of the Slingshot boards at my windsurf center all set up with foils and ready to go. And there's a lot of hype about, you know, oh, foiling is for ultralight wind, it's for ultralight wind. And that's true once you know how to do it. Once you can coordinate the timing between your pumping of the sail and your pumping of the foil, it's amazing how little sail you need. But when it's your first couple sessions, it's nice to have a good amount of power in your sail because it removes a lot of the variables. So for customers who come down to my place, you know, I put them on the Wizard 125 automatically. You know, if you're above 90 kilos, maybe I'll put them on a 150 levitator. But for most windsurfers, the 125, easy to uphaul, plenty of stability. One of the really important things about foil boarding is that you want a ton of volume in the tail of the board, because the whole foil and board is all designed to only foil with your feet back in the foot straps, right? Normal windsurfer, we start with our feet really far forward up by the mast track, we catch a gust, we pump, and we get planing with our feet really far forward, and then we start to move back. The foil board won't foil with your feet up there and far forward. It'll only foil when your feet are back in the foot straps. So you need that nice, thick, big, wide tail, but what you want is that thick volume so that I get up, I uphaul, I'm barely moving, and I go straight into both foot straps, and then my feet are in the right place, and then the foil wants to lift up. And all my customers, I have them take about a ½ meter lower for their first couple sessions than what they would normally use for their, you know, 100, 115 liter board. So I don't want them to be totally underpowered. That was a big mistake when I first started it. I would always go out when there was hardly any wind, and I'd be going back and forth just waiting for that gust. It would pick me up for a second, and there's a whole lot of variables there. When you know you've got enough power to, you know, hold in your sail and keep you going, removes a lot of variables, make it easy. So I think also the bigger wing. The bigger wing makes everything easier. When I first got into it with Tony, you know, I learned how to do it, and we're just begging Tony, like, we want smaller, faster, smaller, faster, smaller, faster. And Tony's just shaking his head like, that's not actually what you want. And it was true. The second, you know, I actually got on one of the big Infinity 76 wings, it was all I wanted to ride. I put all the small wings he'd given me completely aside, and me and my best friend would fight over that Infinity 76 because you could, you know, a tiny little swell that's only, you know, 30 centimeters, 40 centimeters high, you could get nice and high, and with that wing, you could feel the power and the energy in the water like you never could before. There's so much energy in even a white cap or a swell this tall, and you just never really understood that or had any connection to that energy. But with the nice big wing, It makes everything 1,000 times easier. You get up easier, you have more side-to-side stability, you know, your carving is a lot easier, and you just unlock the ability to feel the power in the water like you never have before. So the ultimate beginner setup, I think, you know, right away you can get the Wizard 125, easy to uphaul, plenty of leaders and huge width to stand and slog around on. If you're a little worried and, you know, if you're worried about it, start with the shorter mast. And that kind of really helps reduce the foil fear because you're not foiling as hard. But the truth of the matter is, all of my guests say it's actually easier on the longer 91 centimeter mast. Sure, you're up there higher, but you have more time to correct your errors. If you're starting to overfoil, you have a whole lot more centimeters, which just gives you more time to get your weight forward and get it back down. Or if the thing's foiling down towards the water, you've got more flight range, more time to correct your errors. So yeah, you know, maybe it's scary, maybe you don't want to be that high your first few days, but you're really only going to use a short mast for a week. But it's great to have to teach your friends who, you know, have that foil fear issue. But honestly, the 91 centimeter mast gives you longer flight range, you have more time to correct your errors. You really want to stand up a lot more. The part of the 5-minute lecture for windsurfing is trying to get people not to push downwind against that fin. And all of us windsurfers, that's exactly what we do. We lean back in the sail, we push downwind against that fin. I mean, that's windsurfing. That's what we do. But the problem is, now we're not using that fin to get us going. We're using this fin to get us going. So we need to be pushing that other, you know, the wing to the bottom of the ocean. We can't push against the foil mast at all. If you push against the foil mast, you start to swing wildly upwind and wildly downwind. And I got a lot of guys who, you know, I teach at the center and, you know, they'll learn how to do it and they'll come back to me and they're like, man, like, you explained that I can't push downwind against that fin across the board at all. And I understood that concept, like intellectually I had that down, but I couldn't make myself not push against that fin. I still got up on that foil, leaned back in the sail, and pushed against that, you know, against the foil mast and swung wildly up and down. It was a hard thing to stop doing, and that's totally normal because all of us windsurfers, we push against that fin to get our drive to go. But that's the one really important takeaway when you're teaching people their first lesson. You gotta stand up all the way straight. All of your foot pressure needs to be going straight to the bottom of the ocean. Zero of it against that foil mast, against that fin. And you need to stand up really straight on the board. So, you know, I just sheet the sail out, get in the front foot strap. Maybe your back foot is not in the foot strap, but it needs to be all the way back touching them, because again, the whole setup is balanced to only foil with your feet in the foot straps, or at least in the same location on the board. So if you don't feel comfortable about getting your back foot in the foot strap, you need to have it all the way back touching them so it's in the right place. Standing up over your feet, sail sheeted out, lots of mast base pressure, your chest, you know, in front of your feet, and, you know, hanging down, mast base pressure, sail sheeting out, and then start to slowly sheet in, build up some speed, and just concentrate on keeping the board as absolutely flat on the water as you can. Don't rail it at all upwind. All your pressure going straight to the bottom of the ocean, and don't lean back, because there's no way to lean back against the sail without pushing downwind against that fin, which again will make you swing wildly upwind and downwind. So don't go crazy underpowered. Don't push against that fin. Right away, uphaul, start moving, get right into the foot straps, at least the front one, get that back foot all the way back, chest forward, low, barely sheet in, build up some speed, and just try to keep the board as flat on the water, and you're gonna rise right up, and when you do, you're gonna be holding your breath with that foil face. Everybody's concentrated, and then you see their eyebrows lift, and their eyes open, and then the eyebrows are up and the eyes are open, and it's just this full smile comes across their face. The foil face is hilarious.
A lot of people, they are tangling with a jibe. Maybe you got the power jibe on the foil.
Yep.
Maybe you got some
another tips for
tips for that. Because,
you know,
that's the next step. That's the next move.
It is. It is.
That it looks fancy, and a lot of people struggle with that.
Absolutely. You know, the jibe wasn't easy. It did take me a while to jibe. I mean, you know, my list of tricks is huge. Triple flocka, spock, shove it spock. I mean, you know, I can do a lot of moves, so I've got, you know, a lot of sail handling skills. But it still took me longer than I thought to jibe. And the number one reason for that, to tell you the truth, was this. You learn to foil and you're like, I want a smaller wing, faster, faster, smaller, smaller, you know, and my jibe percentage was like 30%, you know, on a nice, small, fast wing. When I finally started using like Infinity 76 that Tony gave us after letting it sit in the garage for 2 to 3 months, you know, my consistency on the jibe went to 90%, like pretty much immediately. So the best thing you can do is get a nice big wing. I mean, that Infinity 76 is amazing. If you want to go all the way to the Infinity 84, it's even easier. And what that big wing does is the bigger the wing, the lower the stall speed. The slower you can exit your jibe without dropping off the foil. The small, fast wings, you gotta still be going 15, 20 miles an hour out of the jibe, or else you're gonna just stall and it's gonna drop off. So honestly, the best thing to do for your jibe is get the bigger wing. And then I kind of stole this from a buddy of mine, but he was explaining it to one of our guests pretty well. He's like, well, how do I do the jibe? How do I do the jibe? And he says, all you got to do is just slow everything down. And I just started laughing because he couldn't have said it better, you know? What you want to do is get your back foot out of the strap, put it in the middle of the board, not too far forward, all the way back by the straps, but in between the two back straps, and just go into it really slow. Again, with foiling, your ability to get upwind is insane. So doing a 200-meter downwind jibe is not a problem. So slowly start turning that jibe. Again, let go of your backhand on the sail nice and early, and then just kind of hold it with just that one hand up by the mast, still slowly turning. Get to pointing straight downwind, maybe level it out straight downwind for a second. Still just everything happening crazy slowly. Get your hand on the new side of the boom, slowly start sheeting it in, and try to exit the jibe switch stance. Like, don't ever change your feet. Like, finally you get going the other direction, you never switch your feet, you get that sail nice and sheeted in, and get a balanced, stable flight going switch stance with your feet in the old foot position as long as you can, and then you've got to make a quick foot hop. And the hard part about the foil foot change is when your front foot comes out of the front foot strap and steps back, you have to get it on the absolute center line of the board, that line that connects the two bolts of the fin to the middle of the nose of the board. Your front foot comes out of that front foot strap and goes to step back. It needs to be exactly halfway across that center line. If it's to one side or the other, the board is just going to rail one direction or the other direction, and you're totally going to blow it at the end. That's kind of the reason why, for learning, I think it's really best, slow everything down, let go of that sail nice and early, get it flipped, wait a ton of time to actually sheet it in, just slowly sheet it in as you come the rest of the way through the turn, and see how far you can sail in a controlled, stable flight, switch stance, and then go for that quick foot switch, but it's gotta be dead center on line.
That sounds really cool. Right now I think it's enough to train the experience for everybody.
Yeah.
And first of all, I have to say thank you very much.
Hey, it's good talking to you.
We would like to show you some more from these nice pictures from Wyatt Miller. How does it work really? And I hope you were fascinating like us.
Yep, it's been fun, man. You guys had the drone going out there, dodging kite lines and getting the shot, man. It's been fun hanging out with you guys this week.
So cool. First of all, thank you.
Hey, thanks a lot.